for this, like, staircase up to, the tower? Spiraling up the spiral staircase, I guess? I don't know. I have no idea. Wrapped in absolute darkness. Warm blood spills onto my cheeks, my hair, my skin. Ah, that's right. Fun. Chunks of human flesh rain down on me. By the way, let me just bring this up. Where is it? Hello? There we go. There's the whole shebang. Chunks of human flesh. Fun. Ah, make it stop! Pitter patter, pitter patter. There's no end to the deluge. Deluge. The smell of death fills the air. I'm struck with a wave of nausea so strong I can't hold back the contents of my stomach. Although it's been a while since we've eaten, so who knows how long? Do we even have anything in our stomach? Yeah, oh great. But when my mouth opens to vomit, blood pours into it. Oh dear. That's not good. That's not sanitary. Good thing we're already a ghost. Hi, Alice. Welcome to the house in Fata Morgana, which has the... Yep. Obvious. Doobie wonky. Welcome in. The house in Fata Morgana has the listed content warning that was in the chat right before you came in. So let me get that again. Welcome in. How has your day been? Also, yes, that is a lot. But welcome in. I am incredibly sleepy for some reason, but I wanted to still stream. I've already been going for like 2 hours. I forgot to let you know. Sorry. But yeah, this is that love story game. That's not a that's we're learning about the Witch Morgana's backstory, which is a lot. Unsurprisingly. Putting up my hair again, give me a second. But how's your day been, Alice? How have you been? Just left the bed? Nice. It's a good way to start that's a good way to have the day go, honestly. Get yourself some sleep. Does hair cooperate? Probably not. There we go. Got it in something. Alright. Mouth opens to vomit, blood pours into it. Ugh. Let go of me. Dead bodies grab at my ankles, dragging me down. To where? Hell? Or to the mountain of corpses? Now do you understand that there was a time, if but briefly, when I was happy, when I felt human emotions? And now she's probably gonna say, that made it even worse when it all went sour. If I'd only known pain, it would have not been as difficult as this. I feel like that's what she's going to say. But yes, I hope your sleep was good, Alice. Sorry, I kept saying I've said hi to Jess before. I'm too used to it. But yep, there it is. But I wish I never had. If I had remained confined in my Daughter of God shell, then I doubt I would have felt so much terror at the sight of death. Can't say anything in response. Yeah, what do you say to that? What do you say to that? I can't form words. I feel what she experienced, the massacre she witnessed, the limp flesh piling up around her. Even more than twice her age, it's enough to drive me mad. The fact that a 12-year-old girl had to experience something so unspeakable. Yeah, that's rough. Why is my hair being like this? I'm sorry, it is not cooperating. I do not mean to detract from the moment, but my hair is being rather unruly. Which is, of course, much more important than what is going on in the game. That's the problem, isn't it? It's not actually. Sorry, my hair, I'm still... I don't know why it's being so difficult today. That is bad. Today, I hope you're... I hope your waking up goes well, Alice. I get it, I am still half asleep myself. Perhaps this is not the best game to play while half asleep, but it's better than Everhood, which requires quite a lot of quick reactions, which I did not have. To be fair, I don't usually have them anyways, but now especially. There we go. Eesh. Took so long. I'm so sorry. Devastates me. Tell me, my dear, do you pity me? Do you sympathize with me? If you feel bad for me, then you'll remain with me. You'll feel my pain and my despair with me, won't you? The witch's cackle echoes through the pile of bodies. There's not a speck of light. I also hope the OBS will cooperate with you, Alice. I know the struggles of OBS as well. And hideous death lingers everywhere. Helpless to resist, I'm dragged down into a deep, dark ocean. An ocean of blood. Ah, fun. Now, on with the story. I was at a complete loss for some time after that. I didn't want to return to the city because I knew there was no one left who would take me in. There was only the Lord who had bound me and drained me of my blood. So I wandered the roads, no destination in mind, and nothing to defend myself but the clothes on my back. Frankly, I'm rather surprised I wasn't attacked by bandits. After walking for days without food or water, my mind was hazy and my exhaustion at a peak. In the distance, I saw a lake. So driven by my thirst, I turned my unsteady feet toward the water, not caring that it took me off the main road. And it turned out that that was the correct choice, because there was a small cottage beside the lake. Smoke rising from the chimney, telling me it wasn't abandoned. Out of sheer desperation, I knocked on the door. No one answered. Apologies for that. The door wasn't locked, so I slowly, hesitantly pushed it open. And beyond it, I found an old woman, sitting dead in a chair. The woman was a witch. By trade, that is. It appeared she had had a deep knowledge of medicinal herbs, using it to make an assortment of medicines. In her cabinets were dozens of small glass bottles containing dried, powdered leaves and crushed berries, among other things. On the fire was a cauldron, liquid bubbling inside. The woman looked as though she was asleep. Presumably, she had passed away of old age, for there was no sign bandits had been rooting through the cottage, and she had a look of absolute serenity on her face. Looking over the woman's dead body, I didn't cross myself. I envied her. Dragging the woman's body by her feet, I dumped her into the lake. Do you think doing so makes me a bad person? Makes me unsaintly? Well, I didn't have anywhere else to go, and the owner of the cozy cottage was no longer in this world. There was no reason I couldn't fill her home in her stead, was there? I deserved to have somewhere I felt comfortable after everything I'd been through, didn't I? This is true. She has been through a lot. And so, I took up residence in the old witch's cottage, and remained there until my 16th year. So for 4 years. By 16, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I had no trust for people. I shut them out, building high walls around myself. After such a tumultuous, bloody childhood, it was all I could do to protect myself, to keep my young spirit from cracking. Nevertheless, travelers would, on occasion, pay the old witch's cottage a visit, seeking her medicines. Whenever someone arrived, I would cautiously crack the door open, telling them that they could trade for whatever they wanted with food, and never showing my face. One day, a young man showed up at the cottage. "My sister has fallen very ill, and she desperately needs medicine." He was very soft-spoken. There was a distinct kindness in his voice, which I thought unusual, curious. I wonder who this could be. What kind of person could he be? What did he look like? What expressions did he make as he spoke? To satisfy that curiosity, I snuck a peek at him through the crack in the door. He was a handsome young man, with flowing, flaxen hair. "Hello, Mel." So Mel makes his entrance into this story once again. Flaxen hair does seem to be a constant of his, And upon seeing me, he didn't flinch back in disgust. He smiled. According to him, his younger sister had fallen gravely ill, and though they had tried a number of remedies, she was still bedridden. The medicines I gave him too had no effect, but he persisted in his quest, visiting me again and again for new combinations to try. He wanted nothing more than to relieve even the slightest bit of his sister's suffering. And, moved by his dedication to his family, I too wanted to do anything I could to help. For the first time in years, my world encompassed more than my small cottage. When the young man came, he would ask not only for medicine, but to go on walks with me. He volunteered to spend time with me, despite my horrifying appearance. It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. You've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say we take a little walk around the shoreline? He said with a smile, taking me by the hand. We spoke as we circled the lakeside. His voice was always soft and pleasant, like a ray of light shining through a crack in the walls. When I was with him, I felt I could be an actual person, an ordinary girl. He talked about his sister more than anything. And whenever he did, he was at his brightest and his most melancholy. The young man had been a member of a noble house, but disputes over who was the rightful heir had forced him and his sister out. Shortly after that, his sister had fallen ill and was now bedridden. I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one. That word, muttered under his breath, sparked my memory. I was a saint. My blood had healing properties. I had no reason to hesitate. Someone needed my help, and who deserved it more than this kind-hearted young man's sister. So I decided to tell him what I really was. That my blood had miraculous powers, that it had saved people. That the moment I had been born, the drought plaguing my village had come to an end. That I had been born a saint, the daughter of God. I told him everything. And he believed it all. He led me to his house, where a pale, sickly young girl lay in bed. She was a sweet little girl, with the same flaxen hair as her brother, who looked like she would have been quite spirited if not for her ailment. It was touching to see the two siblings sitting there together, quietly holding each other. I would gladly give my blood for the two of them. And so I made a new cut on my arm, which had healed considerably thanks to the slave and the woman... is that supposed to mean, slave and the woman of the brothel, and let the girl drink of my blood. That's right, she had a friend who was a slave. Who had been a slave at the Lord's mansion. Neither of them had any doubts about my sainthood, because they believed a miracle occurred. The flaxen-haired girl recovered enough to get out of her bed. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like, for once, I had actually saved someone's life. The only issue was, she didn't make a complete recovery. For a few days after drinking my blood, she was in good health, but her condition quickly regressed. I was deeply perplexed by this. A miracle had undoubtedly taken place, but it was only temporary. Now, though, I believe I can explain what happened. Her recovery was no more than a placebo effect caused by her faith. But that's something I couldn't have known at the time. We were all three perplexed, and we were all three disheartened. Nevertheless, I was prepared to give her my blood as many times as needed. Whenever her condition worsened, the young man came to request more, and never once did I turn him away. On the contrary, I enthusiastically offered her my services. Over time, though, the hope in his eyes began to fade. He asked me on fewer walks, and he seemed hesitant to look me in the eye. I assume it was out of discomfort, out of guilt, out of a shame about asking for blood. But I don't think his concerns were for me, rather himself and his sister. As I mentioned earlier, blood was considered unclean in our time. And not only was I giving mine away, I was having his sister imbibe it. Looking at it that way, it would hardly be a surprise for him, or anyone else, to think what I was doing depraved. As time passed, the flaxen-haired young man seemed to grow more and more disturbed by me. That was what I got for opening up. That was what I got for letting his kind, warm light shine in on me. The moment things went bad, he pulled away. There were times when I thought I shouldn't have done anything in the first place, but regardless, I held fast to my original decision. I would put myself on the line for them. No one else. Just them. Even if he was afraid of me or had no interest in seeing me, I would continue offering her my blood. And I was firm in my resolve. One day, though, I received a new visitor. The young man was still the only one I would show my face to, the only guest I had let into my walls. So as usual, I took the man's request from behind the cottage door, but I could hardly believe my ears when he began speaking. Are you the witch with the miracle blood? First, how did he know my blood had powers? Second, why had he called me a witch and not a saint? Third, why did he sound like the man who had slaughtered the slave carriage? I told the man he had to leave, that I would not be opening the door for any reason. In response, he said, I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little? My blood was for the sick and needy. I would never spare a drop for a murderer like him. I told the man exactly that, demanding he leave. All I could think about was the pile of bodies, the fountain of blood. The man drenched in crimson, wearing a ghastly smirk. I trembled behind the door, fearing he may go on another such rampage. But instead, he gave a simple, "as you say," and went on his way. I let out a deep sigh of relief, which is when I realized tears were rolling down both my cheeks, like an ordinary girl. 3 days later, the flaxen-haired boy showed up at my cottage. "I'm sorry for being so distant lately. I want to talk things over." Those 2 sentences were like a light shining from above. I wanted to talk to him too. I wanted to take a walk around the lake and listen to him talk about nothing. I wanted to experience the warmth of his world once more. I wanted to tell him about the terrible man who had been there a few days earlier, about how scared I had been. I wanted him to tell me it would be all right. I want to talk to you too," I said, opening the door without a second thought. The light of the sun was all so bright, all I could make out was his silhouette. I couldn't see the look on his face or the look in his eyes. A gentle breeze blew past, and my mind froze. How could this be happening? What did it mean? Why? How? What was that man doing, standing behind him? Why was he carrying a sword? Why was he coming into my house? And why did he swing it down, severing my arm? I was in a daze. I couldn't make sense of anything. I didn't want to. My left arm fell to the floor before I even knew it was happening, and then my legs gave out. The pain, searing and unbearable, came a few moments later as I was lying in an ever-expanding pool of my own blood. I did something then that I hadn't done before, that I had resisted doing no matter how much blood the Lord had stolen from me. I screamed. It was a hideous, visceral noise, a sound I never thought a saint could make. The same ear-splitting howl the slaves had made as the man had butchered them. I writhed, I wailed, I wept. I crawled across the floor through my own blood. I begged and I begged and I begged for my life. The man walked over and picked up my severed arm. And then, shockingly, he tossed it to the kind-hearted man. After which he said, "That's your share. Should last you long enough." Share? What did he mean by share? What was he talking about? Why had he given him my arm? And why had he taken it? Why was he talking like they knew each other? Why? Why? I had spared blood for him when he asked, hadn't I? So why was he doing this? Was cutting off my arm and stealing it easier on his conscience than simply asking? You understand how I felt, don't you? You can put yourself in my shoes, can't you? The young man refused to look me in the eye. Holding my bloody arm in his trembling hands, he fled from the cottage as quickly as his legs would allow. The man then walked over and picked me up. I had neither the strength nor willpower to resist. Holding me in his arms, he began to speak, telling me things I didn't want to know, things I didn't want to hear. But he didn't care. "Nothing personal. I just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church." Don't take it personally. Tell me, is there anyone in this world who wouldn't feel a bit of spite after being put through such torture? How was I supposed to let that slide? No one's that much of a saint. My trust had been betrayed, and I was supposed to turn the other cheek? A man had barged into my home uninvited and cut off my arm, and I was supposed to smile and take it? Is there anyone, anywhere, who doesn't even feel the slightest bit of hatred ever? Is there anyone in this world who could just laugh and brush off this level of abuse? Tell me, is there? How could I not hold a grudge? How could I not despise them? How could I possibly forgive them? Tell me, please. Tell me, how could I? She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. If I brought him the witch with the miracle blood, he would finance a whole new church for her. The Lord? Why him again? Why couldn't he leave me alone? After trying to kill me during one of his blood sabbats, why was he after my blood once more? Had he learned it really did have miraculous powers and decided he wanted me back? You get to be the sacrifice to keep her church from collapsing, to keep her world from collapsing. Sacrifice? Excuse me, what? What's all this about keeping her church from collapsing? You murdered a carriage full of innocent people. You're trying to protect a church? You? Are you out of your mind? Churches are where people go to commune with God, to speak with my Father. How dare you soil those sanctified grounds with your filthy hands, you beast! It's insulting, sacrilegious, repulsive. Just what do you think we are? So don't take it personally, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm a saint. I was a saint. My blood exists to do the Lord's work, not to satisfy the avarice of men. Why is this happening to me? The man brought me back to the city, but instead of taking me to the Lord's manor, he brought me to a church on the city's outskirts. Though, to be honest, it looked more like an estate than a church. The church also served as a hospital, offering free care to less fortunate children, the poor and the infirm. That was when I learned why he said they needed the money. The owner of the church offered unconditional assistance to anyone who came. Even when food and supplies ran low, they would ration their own in order to keep helping others. As a result, the church was perpetually on the verge of collapse. Church was run by a woman, something exceedingly rare for the time. There were no priests. All management was handled by a single nun, who everyone referred to as the Saintess. I was the saint. I was this woman who didn't have the ability to perform miracles, being worshipped like she did. Why did the people of the city idolize her? Why were their smiles all directed at her? Why was I not in her place? The man carried me to the top of the observation tower. It was there that I had my reunion with the Lord. I was to spill my blood for the people of the city, but also for the Lord's profit. He was not offering free aid, but selling it as medicine. He claimed it was a miracle elixir, telling no one that it was actually my blood. It was mixed with a beautiful red wine, and drinking it would cure you of any ailment. If they knew it was actually the blood of a witch, they would think it unclean. They would fear it. I remained imprisoned for a long, long time. In the beginning, the swordsman guarded me, though before long, the flaxen-haired young man showed up as well. Presumably one severed arm wasn't enough to keep his sister healthy for long. In listening to their conversations, I learned that, to ensure no one else could get in, the observation tower was sealed with 3 locks. The Lord, the swordsman, and the young man each held one of the keys. Just like how we did to get up to the observation tower this time. To try to get to Giselle. Why did it say who's your daddy? What? Captions. Captions is getting horny again. Why does captions have to be so horny sometimes? Don't understand. I was their secret, locked away in the tower for them to drain of blood away from wandering eyes. Time went on, and I grew progressively weaker. I lost the will to eat, and the will to live. My only view from the tower was the clouds through a window high up on the wall. Occasionally a pigeon would fly in, sometimes a butterfly. I would glare in envy as it fluttered around, free to come and go as it pleased. And soon it was spring. Every spring, the church held a festival to pray for the coming year's harvest and the people's well-being. I could hear the bustle from far below the window as everyone rushed to prepare. Heard the flaxen-haired girl's voice, who had regained her health drinking my blood. I heard her brother's voice, who had betrayed me. I heard the nun's voice, who played saint in my stead. I heard the barbaric swordsman's voice, who had chopped off my arm. And I heard the Lord's voice, the root of all my suffering. I heard people praising the saintess, though I, the true saint, was locked in the tower. I heard people thanking the Lord for his generous donations and miracle medicine, though it had all come from me, propped up on my suffering. They cheered and clinked glasses of my bloody wine. Those merry, peaceful, cheerful, spirited sinners' voices resounded in my tower. And at noon, on the day of the festival, the church bell tolled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And with the 12th chime, I died. As the bell's last pealing faded into silence, the tower door swung open. Standing on the other side of it were the 3 men. They must have wanted to drain a little more for me to use in the feast, but they arrived at the worst possible moment. The flaxen-haired young man was the first to express his consternation. Why? I never wanted her to die. Was she not eating? The Lord gave my corpse a casual glance and said, stone-faced, "Seal the tower off. Understood? No one finds out about this." How can you be so calm? Do you understand what you've done? Pinning the blame on me? How nice it must be to be able to distort reality with panic. The swordsman, who had been silently observing the Lord and the boy conversing, interjected. "You're just as guilty as any of us." Not only did they not mourn my death, they argued over whose fault it was. There was no regret, no remorse. The young man muttered absent-mindedly, I never wanted her to die." What did his intentions matter, though? It was his betrayal that had ultimately tethered me to this mansion. But the fact that they didn't grieve my death, and instead squabbled amongst themselves like filthy rats, was the final straw. How could I not despise them? I don't believe I actually had the power to perform miracles when I was alive. It was all faith, the illusion of belief. I was neither a saint nor a witch. The blood wine was only effective because people placed their faith in the other saintess. I was only ever human. But then, in that moment, an actual miracle occurred. My father bestowed upon me his power. Or perhaps it was the devil who lent me his strength. Just looking down upon my own dead body, my own wretched self. There was nothing beautiful about the pile of bones I had become. Could almost smell the rotting flesh. That was once a saint? I laughed at the thought. It was absurd, ridiculous, and infuriating. They would pay. Those who had cast me into this hell, who had mocked me, who had done this to me, who had made a witch out of me. Hatred coursed through me, revulsion at everyone on these grounds still smiling. They would know just whose dead shoulders their little party was resting upon. If they wanted so badly to call me a witch, then a witch I would be. I would kill them, every last one of them, place a curse on their souls. And so I made my wish. Most people might consider it a curse, but to me, it was most certainly a wish. My father, or maybe the devil, granted that wish. From the garden, there rose a scream. The flaxen-haired young man knew that voice better than anyone. He went deathly pale, darting down the spiral staircase until he reached a window. The young girl was on her knees, vomiting blood in the grass. The young man let out a yelp as he descended the remainder of the staircase. As soon as he reached the garden, he lifted the girl in his arms, but she had already perished. Realizing this, he cried to the heavens, saying the one thing he should have kept to himself. The witch killed her. The blood of the witch killed my sister. That wine you're drinking is no medicine. It's the blood of the witch. You're all drinking witch blood. Crushed by the loss of his only family, the young man picked up a silver fork and plunged it into his own throat, ending his life. Naturally, there was an uproar. Goblets of wine crashed against the earth in rapid succession, as the people holding them fell to the ground and vomited or convulsed. The nun was the first target of their outrage. What she had claimed to be medicine had turned out to be blood, an unclean substance. The blood of a witch, no less. A servant of the church, a servant of the Lord, had given her followers blood to drink. And at this, their indignation surged uncontrollably. The people surrounded her, tying her up and throwing her to the ground. As they prepared to inflict a righteous justice upon her, the swordsman soared down the stairs and into the garden, plunging his blade into anyone standing near the nun. The cries of agony ringing through the church grounds were ear-splitting. It was no longer a place of God, but hell on earth. Hell built by the hands of man. Hell painted red with the blood of their brothers. The people armed themselves with anything they could find and went after the man. As much of a beast as he may have been, he stood little chance against such numbers. This time it wasn't just a village. This is a very populated city. He got outnumbered real badly here. It is the fate of a beast to be exterminated by those he terrorizes. And once he was gone, the nun had no one left to protect her. She too was consumed by their frenzy. All that remained was an inextinguishable inferno. Hysteria and despair, madness and outrage, and no outlet for it. It was a revolt that made the slaves' uprising at the Lord's Manor look like a game. Eventually their rage found a new target, the Lord. It was only natural, for he was the true villain. He was the one who'd given money and the witch's blood to the church. He was the one who had profited off it. And above all, people often resented those who stood above them, particularly in times of unrest. The city resounded with cries for the Lord's head, and he looked down upon it all from the safety of his observation tower. He could do nothing but watch as his domain burned. I can only imagine how painful that must have been. But before long, having seemingly made his peace, he began descending the spiral staircase. He opened the door at the bottom, revealing himself to his people. Before the door had swung all the way open, before he had a chance to say his final words, someone ran a blade through his chest. With that, the raging furor mostly settled down, and it was hardly the end of the destruction. Mere days later, a plague befell the city. Dreadful black spots covered the flesh of the infected. They writhed in pain, screaming and vomiting blood. Ghastly howls echoed through the streets, as though the whole city had been possessed. It became a cursed land. In their diseased haze, the people muttered over and over again, "We have been cursed by the witch." In less than a week, the entire city was dead. My body was left abandoned at the top of the observation tower, as if to seal the curse away. In their final days, the people shuttered all the windows, wrapping the house in darkness. It's possible that was no miracle either. Could easily explain what happened to them. Locked away for so long in that dirty tower, maybe I caught some kind of disease. And then, when the people drank my blood, they too were infected. Hardly anything out of the ordinary about that. The first to die, the girl, had already been ill. Her body merely chose the worst possible time to yield to her ailment. That was all that had happened. Indeed, it was nothing more than a fluke, an improbable stroke of luck, an unbelievably unfortunate accident for the city and those three men, and an indescribably fortunate accident for myself. Oh, look at that! See that? That is the opposite of what she said at the very beginning, when the drought ended, right when she was born. She had said it was an incredibly fortunate accident for her mother and the people of the village, but incredibly unfortunate for her. I wish to believe it was a miracle, that even if my blood didn't have healing powers, knew if I wasn't a saint, my wish, my curse, was what caused that uprising. That was my miracle, granted to me by God or the devil. I choose to believe that, and that my miracle took on its true form thereafter. My curse had brought death upon the three men, but for whatever reason, my rancor was far from sated. They had died, so what? Death is but a transient agony. It's nothing compared to what I went through. So I made my next wish. I wished for their reconstruction. I wished eternal suffering on their souls. I wished to trap them in a never-ending cycle of pain and hatred. This was my wish for the flaxen-haired young man. He treasured his dear sister, and he desired a quiet life. So I wished for him to have just that. And I wished for his dearly beloved sister to love him more than anything in the world. For his world to be destroyed by a love gone too far. This was my wish for the beast-like man. He was conscious of his tendency for violence, and he yearned to be more human, so I had his inner beast toned up just a little. I saw to it he would never be human, so he'd never have the peace he so desired. My wish for the Lord was more straightforward. He seemed to have great affection for wealth and authority, so I ensured that those were the only things he ever could have. Who needs love or friendship when you could be drowning in power? Once he had lost everything, his solitude would be his only companion. Wishes can come true, as long as you always hold fast. Never stop wishing, never surrender. They can come true. Eternal suffering on all their souls. An endless cycle of reconstruction, an unavoidable tragedy. Tell me, my dear, do you sympathize with me? Will you curse them with me? Will you take my hand and revile them with me? Right, I'm actually going to take a break and go eat something right now. I'll be right back. I think this is, yep. What is this? Seeing all the props I have down here. That's for if I need to censor anything. But Jesus, so... she is betrayed by the flaxen-haired young man. Let the swordsman into her house, who cut off her arm to benefit the church, and then brought back to the Lord once again to sell her blood. I think anyone would be a little bit mad at that point, in both senses of the word. But anyways, I will be right back. I'm gonna go eat some sushi. Shouldn't be too long. What, right now? What, do you want me to continue? I'm sorry, I'm hungry, and I'm tired, but I figured this was as good a time as any to quit. I'm sorry. I know it's... we ended that's the story of Morgana. Well, the story of her life and subsequent death. Sorry? I'm sorry I've got you so hooked. I do know this is quite the interesting game, but I think eating will help me wake up, so I'm kind of falling asleep. And I'll make sure it's quick. I'm sorry. I'll be right back. That's half the point. You gotta stay to catch the rest. Oogum boogums. I am back. Let me get rid of that. Alright, so this is Mike. This time, when my body crashes into the tower stairs. I'll have to find a way to differentiate the swordsman and Michael. I'm unable to make a noise. The obstruction is less mental and more physical. The excruciating pain. It's so intense I can't even eke out a scream. My vision is distorted, my mind thick with fog. I feel like I'll fall into a bottomless pit if I lose my grip on my consciousness even slightly. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm, reflected in a pool of blood. I see my face, large chunks of flesh peeled off. Look at you, trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. How pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self. Can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhuman fate. Can't mourn for her. ID type. Or be shocked by the revelation about the 3 men and her history with them. Pain fills every corner of my mind, every nook and cranny of my body. You figured it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You'll never make it to me. It's not possible, but it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There's nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? But all you have to do is turn back, and it'll all go away. The witch whispers her sweet temptations. You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel. Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine. Concede defeat. If I do, it'll all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump of my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the window. My miserable wailing and this maddening hatred. I can end it all. That's right, it will all be over. You have the power to make it stop. Make it all stop. Yep, and then Giselle. No! I can't let that happen. No! I have to. Get her back. At my side. I'd do anything to take her back. Even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat. I will not give up on her. For any reason. You won't, will you? Oh, such beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl. Like a hero of legend. Or maybe a fairy tale prince. Why are my ears like needing to pop? It's very weird. No. I am no hero. I'm no prince. I'm a human, an ordinary man. Don't have any extraordinary potential. Not a courageous leader or charismatic general. I'm just a regular man in love with a regular woman who refuses to lose her. Don't need any other accomplishments, only that. That's all I need. Hold on. Because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter how much you cut me up. Nothing changes. What I have to do, I have to take her back. Set her free of this mansion. Nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Arms or no. As long as I can move, I must push forward. I do play some weird games. This is true. This is very true. But it's a good weird, right? Good weird. Not good weird. Not good weed. Hold on. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Here's a good weed. I'm putting it back away. I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up. To the top of the tower. Forward. Ever forward. Ever onward. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind. I once more arrive at the top of the observation tower. Place my hand on the door. What was that? Oh, that's Mom watering. Yeah, captions has something on its mind. Oh, I did not. Okay. Holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath, then lift my head, gaze into the void, and shout her name. Morgana! I pity you. I truly do. You are a saint shackled with an unfathomable fate. Unfathomable fate. And for that I am enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those three men. If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyway. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So what do you say the three of us, me, you, and Giselle, torture the three of them and everyone they cared about? Make them suffer here for all eternity, in this house. And that way, you and Giselle can be together forever, too. It's not an option. Why not? Because hatred only brings you pain. Ha! Oh, that's brilliant. You spouting stupid platitudes at me. I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about how hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me? Really? How disappointing. And here I thought you understood me. Morgana, why don't you say what you really think? Go right on ahead, hate them as much as you want. But keep me and Giselle out of it. Why didn't you just say that? I do feel bad, truthfully, for all the time we spent together. Never once did I ask about your life. So focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away. That you did. You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out. I wish I'd asked you sooner. It wouldn't have changed anything, though. One puny man knowing what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. Would have turned out the same regardless. There is nothing you could have done for me. There is nothing. Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you carried in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, I could have chosen some other response. I cannot remain in this house, nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present. Well, in that case, open the door, Michael. Take another moment to catch my breath. Then I gather my strength into the hand on the door. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. Reminds me of my death. I'm coming for you. I push open the door, praying that it will be the last, that beyond it lies light for Giselle, and if possible, that it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. What? However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appears from the shadows in my chambers, I can't conceal my surprise. Giselle? Is this another illusion, Morgana? No, it's not. I am the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me. She's thanking me. So why isn't she smiling? That was very kind and courageous of you, Michael. I'm deeply moved you would have such compassion not only for her, but for someone like me. Do you know what else you are? You're a worm. What is it this time, Morgana? What do you say we pull back the curtain, my dear? What curtain? There's only one detail that hasn't yet come to light. This isn't your first return to the mansion, is it? You've been back numerous times, each time not remembering her, and each time hurting her even more. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? No, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in their rightful places, and you alone were some exception? I never. Tell me, how was it, living in so many different eras, not knowing who you were, and playing with all the different men? No! You're out of your mind! Make it sound like I was... Not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl. Enough! How could anyone possibly confuse me with her? To tell you the truth, I couldn't see you as anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me, what about you isn't the same? We're not the same person. I saw the letter. What? Do this, actually. I don't like I'd have to put this here. The one you had hidden. No. You didn't think that was worth mentioning? No, Giselle, I didn't mean... You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. Deceived you. Kept a very important secret from you. Despite showing up before you multiple times, he cast you aside again and again. No, that wasn't me. It wasn't. It all makes sense now. Nothing you ever did was for me. Giselle, I. Go on, Giselle. Tell him exactly how you feel. Michael. Please don't. Don't say it. Not that, please. I'm begging you. Stop. Please don't, Giselle. Not actually. But please. Don't say it! A man at all, are you? You're disgusting. You're the only one it could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl. The next moment, my whole world comes tumbling down. I could have borne anything, losing my arm, having my face torn off. Any amount of pain, I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. But this, hearing those words coming from your mouth, being rejected by you, that I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive. And you're the one person I never wanted to hear them from. It's a bit rough, but I do promise. It will get better. When I learned my father Anthony had passed, I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I found the courage to face my mother, to open up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her that I wasn't cursed, so I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear Mother, there is something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please hear me out, and I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son, that I am Michael, not Michelle. I have found someone for whom I care dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I'd like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her. To go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer female. I am a man. My heart is male, and I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. With love, your dearest son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed. I'm dragged down, against my will, into the darkness. How are you doing here, Cake? How are you? Beneath me spreads my own past, if you're still tuning in, which is completely understandable if you're not. My door, the door I swore never to open. Despite all my efforts to resist, the door sucks me in. Into a world I never wanted to see again. A history I never wanted revealed. A past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. The 7th door. We okay? Good, I'm glad to hear it. 1086. So I'm having something's really weird is going on with my head. There were two things out of the ordinary about that baby. The first is its parents embraced, and the second they wholly rejected. The first its parents embraced, and second wholly rejected, although it was some time before this baby's second peculiarity emerged. And until it finally did, no one was any the wiser. Not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed that brief period of happiness. But before her child finally realized the truth, blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to, that she set loose a curse upon the world. Curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. My God, look at that. Oh, it's Antonin. Wow, what a great guy. Boy, I sure am glad he's returning to the story. I'm sure he'll be a great addition to the cast once again. You fucker. She's beautiful, isn't she? Have you seen her laugh? Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, that color is certainly is something else. God's gift to us? No. She's an angel sent from heaven. An angel? Ah, yes, I can see it now, Lydie. Her white hair and almost translucent skin. It's beautiful. Huh. My, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such a deep, enchanting color. Like two little jewels. Ah, that they are. A magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. And this is our child. She's special. I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name. One that's just as special as her. Have you already chosen, Antonin? You were the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already had to rack my brain for the boy's name. Now it's your turn. Are you really going to let me? My, that's quite a lot of pressure. Name her after an angel, then. Oh, I like that. All right, then. We'll call her Michelle, after the archangel Michael. You'll grow up to be beautiful as an angel, my Michelle. I've always wanted a little girl. With her snowy white hair, skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes. She was a very peculiar-looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name. Michelle. Michelle. Me. Checkmate. Gah! I see that's what you did. Curses, I completely overlooked that. Thought that you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion. You're too short-sighted, Didier. Didier? I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name. Didier. Didier. Didier, I think, maybe? I'm not sure. You need to look at the big picture. Sometimes it's a tactician and not the soldier holding the sword. You got me. You're quite good at this, Michelle. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy? It was not inspiration. It was derivation. Derivation? Chess is in many ways similar to real war tactics. My military texts. You haven't read all of them, have you? I have nothing but time. Impressive. Even I haven't read all the books in my room. Planning on joining the Order with that kind of knowledge? You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Didier. That I am. War is the men's job, after all. I want you to be there to welcome me home. Didier, oh Didier. I'm in a bit of a bind. Oh, hello, Mike. Hello there, Michelle. Bah. I didn't know you were home, Georges. I just got back, yep. Oh, playing chess again, are ya? Let's see, what do we have here? Get away from the board. Yikes, you got trounced, huh? And you call yourself her big brother. So if you're any better... It's not funny, Georges. Cannot approve of someone who can't keep up with the flow of battle becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers. What, are you worried about me? No, I'm saying... Been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel, after all. Where's the logic in that? Sorry to interrupt your, moment, but... Does nobody listen to me? Now, don't pout. So what seems to be the problem, Georges? You know Michael would definitely be wearing a super baggy hoodie at this time. It's a shame dysphoria hoodies were not invented yet. Ah, yes, listen to this. The royal court is holding a swordsmanship show, and for some reason I was selected to participate. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. Hey now, that's just mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers. Why are my ears like constantly ringing? What is this? You ever have that like... This is so weird. They're like constantly like feeling like they should pop, but they aren't? I don't know what's going on. Oh! It's the pressure from the storm incoming. That explains it, I guess. It's the pressure change. Well, hopefully the storm will get here and this will stop. Georges, you twink. They're covered in calluses. Dainty calluses. Tell me, why would they have an artist sword fight? That's the whole point, I would think. No need to get so worked up. No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? I'm going to lose, that's a given. But I want to do it in style. I feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Now come on, time's a-wasting. To the courtyard we go. Just so you know, if I train you, I'm gonna train you right. All I want is to know how to look good. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong voice. What is it, Michelle? May I watch? Fine with me, but you know you can't go outside. I'll be watching from the hall. Can open one of the windows facing the courtyard. Still, you need to be careful. Can't spend too much time in the sun. I know. I had 2 older brothers. And how is this voice, Cake? Do you mind this voice, or is it... I don't know what kind of voice I should do for Michelle. I'm kind of trying to go, like... a little bit more feminine, Michael, but... I don't want to go too far, but I don't want to make it sound exactly the same. I don't know. Let me know how I'm doing. Can this storm just get here already? It is such a pain. I don't think I've had this happen in a long time. I don't know. I don't remember it ever happening. This storm is... the pressure is making my ears... such a pain. The eldest, Didier, belonged to an order of knights that served the church. Below him was Georges, who served as a court artist. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property. Nevertheless, the Bollinger family name was upheld by Didier. And then there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. Rarely left the estate. My world was contained entirely within these walls. Perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my 2 brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Didier played chess with me, and Georges taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply. And it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. But the reason given was not that I was weak, but that I was a girl. With each passing year, that smoldering frustration in the back of my heart grew larger. Come on, put your back into it. Like I said, all I want to do is put on a good show. Oh, you'll put on quite a show, unless you learn how to swing that sword properly. Give me a break! Out in the garden, my 2 brothers traded swings bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. Every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain, like a needle piercing my chest. A needle that seemed to be growing ever thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. First, I thought that was the root of my pain. But that answer seemed to contradict something inside me, something I couldn't explain, something I couldn't ignore, even as a child. So I searched within myself, trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Day after day, I gazed into the cavern of my own heart. My, now what are the 2 of them doing out there? Georges was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the royal court, so Didier is helping him out. Swordsmanship? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous. I can't watch people swinging them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michelle? I would love to teach you how to sew. But, Mom, I want to watch them practice. Michelle... First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys. As your mother, I don't approve of you playing chess or making art. A woman has no need for such skills. They will only make you look insolent. But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother. Now come. I would rather you looked at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. Yes, Mother. You are my little girl, after all. Spending time with my mother was agonizing. Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, the sweet scent of her perfume, the way she constantly told me how much she loved me, and her diatribes about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. But above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl, after all." And there was nothing strange about that, after all, at all. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I was faced with the reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning how to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Things she taught me I would need when I was wed off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. I couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Didier's room than having a conversation with my mother. Tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers. Military texts written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them set my heart aflutter and made me think about my brother. He was training to be a knight. I envisioned armor flecked with rust. A long sword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in my fantasies, imagining how the sword would feel in my hands. The sensation of a hilt beneath my fingers, swinging it gallantly, like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle would I need to carry it? How much impact would I feel in my hands when I struck something? How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? I had no way of answering any of those questions, though. Why is this... I hate this pressure. Hold on, what if I plug my nose? I tried. Ay, ay, ay. Don't think I've ever been this sensitive to storms before. Don't know why. Kill me now. I have some cloth if you'd like to wipe yourself off. Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm so dead. You were at it for a long time. I've never known D to half-ass something once he gets started. Which I guess is what makes him knight material, but... Are you opposed to him becoming a knight? Well, you know, I'd kind of assumed he'd inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like, why's he gotta go and be some priest's whipping boy? Don't tell him I said that, though. He wants to fight for the greater good. I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anywho, someone as passionate as him might be able to make some changes for the better. Changes? He knows what condition the Order is in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape. Melt him down and reforge the whole thing. Huh. So he might be able to change things. God. What is going on today? What? What are you muttering about, Michelle? Hey, whoa, hold it! The pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emanating from George's body, when I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him? Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the Order as well? I was positive it would. I don't know, Michael. I feel like you've got more deep-rooted difficulties you're dealing with, unfortunately. Didier! Michelle, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change. We need to talk. I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walk in on a man as he's changing. I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious. Listen to me, Michelle. Georges tells me you're planning to overhaul the Order. He told you that? No, I hardly have such... What voice do I want to give Didier? I don't know. It's tough. I think this voice has been fine thus far. I don't know. What is going on with my head right now? Oy, oy, oy. I think I might just end it here for now, and maybe I'll play some later, after the storm has passed. Maybe I'll do another stream later of this. Cause, my head. Ay, ay, ay. Just such a pain. It's so distracting. Let me save here. But yeah, big reveals, We learned all of Morgana's backstory, and now we're learning Michael's backstory. And how he was born, born with a female body. Which is rough, especially in the Middle Ages time that he's in. That's, that definitely does not make it easy, I would imagine. So hopefully things go well, but this is the house in Fata Morgana. Things don't tend to go too well, unfortunately. But, like I've said, there is a happy ending at the end of it all, so please stick with me for it. But I am going to end it here for now, I think. I'm gonna try to lie down and nap or something. I don't know what is going on. I am not usually this sensitive to the storms. It's such a pain. Let me see. I'm looking for somebody to raid. Thank you. Thanks, Cake. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do quite yet, but I'm definitely gonna rest for a while at least. Yeah. Let's see. Let's raid. It's been a little while since we've raided this guy. Alloprax, he's playing Haven. Seems very interesting. I would imagine this Oh. Well, let's see. We're gonna raid them anyways. So we're playing some Haven with another person. Did I hold on a minute. I did it wrong. Give me a second. Hold on, did I mess it up? Wait, what? Why didn't it work? What the hell? There we go. What in the world happened? I think I might have accidentally had a space before the slash. Haven seems interesting. So yeah, thank you everybody for stopping by. Sorry this is a shorter stream. This keeps happening. Things just keep I do be in situations. I keep being in situations. But anyways, everybody take care. I might stream this later tonight. I'm not sure. I'm thinking I will. But yeah, have a good rest of your day. Hopefully I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.